New off-Broadway musical is based on the short life of a songwriter and music producer from the Bronx.
You know many of his hit songs probably, Twist and Shout, Cry Baby, Hang On Sloopy, and many more. But Bert Berns is not as familiar. CBS 2's Dana Tyler talks to the actor who plays a successful yet struggling musician who tried to make a name for himself.
Take another little piece of my heart now, baby. Break another little piece of my heart now, honey. Have another little piece of my heart now, baby. You know you got it if it makes you feel good.
That's the title song from Piece of My Heart, the Bert Berns Story. Actor Zak Resnick stars as Berns, the 1960s rock and roller whose story is being told on stage at the Signature Theater in Midtown Manhattan. It's a show that has audience singing along as well as learning a lot of music history. And Zak Resnick joins us now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're having a good time.
I am. I'm having a great time, yeah.
And you're playing someone who's a real person, but a lot of people have never heard of him.
Most people, yeah.
No, we know his music, but Bert Berns, tell us just a little bit about him.
Right, he's, you know, he's a guy who was big in his time, and then he sort of got lost over the years, and we're trying our darndest to give him the credit that he's due. He was an incredible songwriter and musician and a label chief, and something that people at that time, they didn't do all of those things, but he was really rare, and he really was sort of a man with many hats.
He was from the Bronx. We're talking about the 60s. Also, he had a heart issue. He died young.
Yeah, he got rheumatic fever when he was a kid, and you know, back then that was pretty much some sort of a death sentence, and they gave him a life expectancy of, I think in real life, 21 years old. In the show, it's 30, and he lived to be 38.
Let's talk about the show, because it's told through, he left a wife and children, and there's a little bit of playing with the facts as far as how it's told, but it is through a daughter's eyes. It's really creative.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's a useful sort of model to go between present time and past time and use. Bert has a friend named Wazzle that sort of tells us a lot about Bert, and it's actually funny because in real life, Brett and Cassie, his real children, who were very close to this project, they sort of were told the story from Wazzle and from their mother. So we pick and choose what we take from who, and that's also what happened in real life.
We heard Piece of My Heart, Janis Joplin, we know, I Want Candy, Brown Eyed Girl, so many different songs, which allow you really to use your entire voice.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a perfect thing for you, Zak.
It feels that way. Yeah, I feel very lucky that this project fell into my lap, and it makes me sort of, I already felt this way, but it makes it more concrete in my mind that things happen for a reason, and certain projects don't happen and certain projects do because they're sort of meant to, and it really feels, something about this feels very right in my life. So
you played Sky on in Mamma Mia.
I did.
On Broadway. This is an originating role, which is always what an actor wants.
It is, yes.
Let's take a listen to you singing one of the ballads, Here Comes the Night.
Okay.
Oh.
His arms around her like it used to be with me. It makes me want to die. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, here it comes. Here comes the night. Man.
I was cello there, man. But, I mean, poor Bert Berns. I mean, he really, as so many singers, they're wearing their hearts on their sleeves and they're singing about things going wrong.
And the lyrics of those songs really illustrate that. They really tell a story. And that's also why I feel like they're so great in a musical format, because they further the plot, which is wonderful.
We also know his most famous song, it is fair to say, made famous by the Beatles, Twist and Shout.
Twist and Shout.
What a fun one that is.
Yes, absolutely. The wonderful Derek Baskin sings that song. Been a big fan of his for a long time. It's so great to work with him in this project. And You know, it's also great because you really hear Derek's version of Twist and Shout. You get to hear his take of the song, and I mean, we all sort of get to do our own interpretation, and you fall in love with these songs all over again in a completely new and different way.
And we were up at the end singing along with you, which I think goes back to your Ellen Stardust Diner days, doesn't it, Zach? I mean, you're used to getting people going.
It might, yes. I waited tables there before. It's actually, I have a funny story because this show takes place at 1650 Broadway. And when I left school, I went to Carnegie Mellon. And when I left Carnegie Mellon, I started waiting tables at Ellen's, which is 1650 Broadway. And then I booked Mamma Mia, which is attached to Ellen's at 1650 Broadway. And 3 weeks after I left Mamma Mia, I booked this show, which takes place at 1650 Broadway. So I can't get away from 1650 Broadway.
Those are your magic numbers.
It's meant to be, right?
Play the lottery.
There you go.
Meant to be. Congratulations, and
thank you so much.
Have a great time with this show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And with whatever is next for you, which I'm sure will be a lot. Zak Resnick leads the cast in Piece of My Heart, the Bert Berns Story. It's at the Signature Theater on West 42nd Street. 8 shows a week through August 31st. Back to you.
That looks great.
I love Dana's intro to his ballad, Oof.
I know. She's great, too.